I always thought my daughter would be the one to carry my legacy forward, not the one to destroy it. But there I stood, in the middle of my own birthday party, watching Avery tap her champagne glass with a silver spoon, preparing to make what I assumed would be a touching speech about her mother. I'm Mila, and I built Hernandez Fashion from nothing but determination and a secondhand sewing machine. 25 years of sleepless nights, missed vacations, and countless sacrifices, all to create something meaningful for my daughter. Mom, Avery's voice rang clear across the rooftop venue. You've given so much to this company. She paused, her perfectly manicured hand gripping the glass tighter. Maybe too much. The first warning bell went off in my head. Something in her tone wasn't right. The board and I have been discussing the future of Hernandez Fashion, she continued, her blue eyes, so like mine, avoiding my gaze. We believe it's time for a change in leadership. The champagne in my hand suddenly felt too heavy. Around me, faces I'd known for years started shifting uncomfortably in their seats. What are you saying, Avery? I managed to keep my voice steady, though my heart was racing. I'm saying it's time for you to step down, Mom, effective immediately. The silence that followed was deafening. Someone gasped. I heard Nora, my oldest friend in the company, mutter, Jesus Christ, under her breath. You're firing me? I asked, still unable to process what was happening. At my birthday party, Avery's face hardened. We needed to do this publicly to ensure a clean break. The board agrees that your traditional approaches are holding us back. We need to modernize, digitalize, move forward. Forward? I set my glass down before my shaking hands could betray me. I just secured the Martinez account last week. Our numbers are up 30% from last year. Through outdated methods, Avery countered. Personal meetings, handshake deals. It's not sustainable in today's market. Justin, Avery's business partner, stood up. Mila, we've prepared a generous severance package. Spare me the details, Justin. I cut him off, my voice ice cold. 25 years of business negotiations had taught me how to hide my emotions. I assume my office needs to be cleared by tomorrow. Security will pack your things, Avery said. It's better this way. Better. My own daughter couldn't even trust me to clean out my desk with dignity. I stood up slowly, smoothing my black dress, the one Avery had given me last Christmas. Well then, I suppose I should thank you all for coming to my birthday party. And my retirement party, apparently. Nora started to stand, but I waved her off. This wasn't the time for sympathy. I needed to leave with whatever fragments of pride I had left. As I walked toward the elevator, Avery called out, Mom, wait! I turned, meeting her eyes one last time. You know, Avery, I taught you everything I know about business. Everything except one thing. Karma's a patient teacher, and she always collects her dues. The elevator doors closed on her startled face, and I finally allowed myself to shake. 30 floors to pull myself together, 30 floors to decide what comes next. In the lobby, I passed the wall of magazine covers featuring our success story. Mother and daughter, the unstoppable duo of Hernandez Fashion. What a joke. Outside, the New York evening was humid and alive with possibility. My phone buzzed, probably Nora checking on me, but I ignored it. Instead, I opened my banking app and checked my personal accounts. The money I'd been saving for Avery's eventual wedding looked back at me, mocking my maternal sentimentality. A notification popped up on my screen. Rising stars in fashion, independent designers struggle in corporate shadow. The article featured two young designers, Bridget and Annalise, talking about their challenges breaking into the industry. My hands stopped shaking as an idea took root. If Avery wanted to play corporate shark, fine. But she'd forgotten who taught her how to swim in these waters. I flagged down a taxi, my mind already racing with possibilities. Where to? the driver asked. I thought about the article, about karma, about revenge, served not cold, but perfectly tailored. Law offices of Goldman and Associates, I said. It was time to create a new company under a new name, one that would remind my daughter that some traditional approaches still had teeth. The taxi pulled away from the curb, leaving behind the building where I'd spent half my life. In the rearview mirror, I watched it disappear into the skyline, along with the last traces of the Mother Avery thought she knew. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destruction, it's about creation. And I was about to create something that would make my daughter's betrayal look like the mistake it was. 3 months after my public humiliation, I sat in the back row of a small design studio, watching Bridget and Annalise present their latest collection to potential buyers. Their talent was raw, undeniable, but their presentation needed work. The stitching technique is traditional Vietnamese, Bridget explained, her hands shaking slightly as she held up a blazer. But we've modernized it for— How many units can you produce in a month? Interrupted one of the buyers, barely looking up from his phone. Well, currently we're limited by our— Pass, he said, standing up. Call us when you have the infrastructure to handle real orders. I waited until the disappointed buyers filed out before approaching the design table. Bridget was fighting back tears, while Annalise angrily stuffed fabric samples into a drawer. Your biggest problem isn't production capacity, I said, making them both jump. It's that you're letting them set the terms of the conversation. I'm sorry, who are you? Annalise asked, protective arm around her partner's shoulders. Maria Luna, I said, using my new alias, and I'm here to invest in your company. Bridget wiped her eyes. We're not looking for small investors. We need serious— I pulled out my phone and showed them the number I was prepared to offer. Their eyes widened in perfect sync. That's— Annalise swallowed hard. That's a lot of zeros. It comes with conditions, I said, running my hand over their displayed designs. I remain anonymous, no board seat, no public involvement, but I want final approval on business strategy. Why anonymous? Bridget asked. Suspicious? I smiled, thinking of Avery. Let's just say I prefer to let the work speak for itself. Do we have a deal? They looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations that close partners perfect over time. Finally, Bridget nodded. Good, I said. Now, show me that blazer again, but this time sell it like you own the room. The next few weeks were a blur of late nights and coffee-fueled strategy sessions. I taught them everything I knew about the industry, every trick, every shortcut, every handshake deal that Avery had dismissed as outdated. The Martinez account is looking for new suppliers, I mentioned casually one evening, knowing they were Avery's biggest client. Their buyer, Sandra, loves hand-finished details. Martinez? Annalise's eyes went wide. They're way out of our league. Not anymore, I said, pulling out my phone. Sandra's having lunch at Le Bernardin tomorrow, table 12. She always orders the sea bass. How do you know that? Bridget asked. I waved away the question. Take the blazer, wear it. When she compliments it, and she will, be ready. The next day, I watched from across the restaurant as Sandra practically chased them down for a meeting. 1 week later, they had the contract. I don't understand, Bridget said during our celebration dinner. Everything you've taught us. It's like you've been doing this for decades. I sipped my wine carefully. I'm just good at reading people. Well, whatever it is, it's working. Annalise grinned, showing me her phone. Look at these numbers. And Hernandez Fashion stock dropped 3 points after Martinez signed with us. My hand tightened around my glass. Is that so? Yeah, apparently their CEO is freaking out. Some trust fund princess who fired her own mother to take over. Can you believe that? Karma's a patient teacher, I murmured. What? Nothing. Tell me about the new collection you're planning. As they excitedly shared their ideas, my phone buzzed with a text from Nora. Avery's losing it. Board meeting was a disaster. She keeps asking about your new venture. How long are you going to keep this up? I typed back. As long as it takes. Looking up, I watched Bridget and Annalise sketch designs on a napkin, their enthusiasm infectious. They reminded me of myself at their age, hungry, talented, fearless. Before corporate politics and family betrayal complicated everything. We need a name, Bridget said suddenly, for the new collection. Phoenix, I suggested, thinking of my own rise from the ashes of my birthday party humiliation, because sometimes the most beautiful things emerge from the fire. They loved it, of course. They loved everything I suggested, implementing each strategy with the kind of trust I once hoped to see from my own daughter. Later that night, alone in my apartment, I scrolled through photos of their latest designs. They were good, better than good. With my guidance, they'd become exactly what Avery feared, a real threat to Hernandez fashion. My phone buzzed again. Avery's name flashed on the screen, the first time she'd tried to contact me since that night. I let it ring until it stopped, then poured myself another glass of wine. Patience, I whispered to myself, watching the city lights flicker outside my window. Karma's just getting started. I didn't mean to be at the same restaurant as Avery. That was genuine coincidence. But when I heard her voice rise above the quiet dinner crowd, I couldn't help but listen from behind my menu. What do you mean they're going with Phoenix? Avery's voice cracked. We've worked with Vogue for 15 years. I peeked around the corner. She was sitting with Justin, her perfectly styled hair now slightly disheveled. A half-empty martini glass sat in front of her. They love the fresh perspective, Justin said, his tone careful. The Vietnamese-inspired collection really spoke to them. Fresh perspective? Avery slammed her hand on the table. We offered them exclusive digital integration, AI-powered sizing, everything they asked for. Sometimes it's not about the technology, Avery. It's about the soul of the designs. I smiled behind my menu. Those were my words, spoken through Justin's mouth. He'd always been the more reasonable one. Soul doesn't pay the bills, Avery snapped, then lowered her voice as other diners turned to look. First Martinez, now Vogue. Who's next? Maybe we should consider. If you suggest bringing my mother back, I swear to God, Justin. The board's asking questions, he pressed on. Our stock is down 18%. The holiday collection isn't moving. We need to do something. Avery's laugh was bitter. You think I haven't tried calling her? She won't answer, won't return my emails. It's like she disappeared. Can you blame her? The silence that followed was heavy. I risked another glance. Avery was staring into her martini, looking more like the little girl who used to fall asleep in my design studio than the CEO who fired me. I did what I had to do, she whispered. Did you? Justin leaned forward. Because from where I'm sitting, we had a good thing going before you decided to go nuclear on your own mother. We were stagnating. We were stable, profitable, respected. Justin stood up, dropping his napkin on the table. Maybe it's time to admit you made a mistake. After he left, Avery ordered another martini. I watched her pull out her phone, scroll through something, then press it to her ear. Mom? Her voice was small now. I know you're getting these messages. Please, I need to talk to you. Everything's falling apart and I don't know how to. She trailed off, wiping her eyes. Just call me back, please. Something twisted in my chest. The mother in me wanted to go to her, stroke her hair like I used to when she was upset. But the businesswoman in me remembered the humiliation, the betrayal, the cold calculation of that birthday night. My phone buzzed. Bridget was calling. Maria, she said when I answered. We just got the confirmation. Vogue wants us for the September issue, main feature. Wonderful news, I said, watching Avery order a third martini. How about we celebrate tomorrow? I have some ideas for the photo shoot. You always have the best ideas, Bridget gushed. Oh, and guess what? Nordstrom called. They want to meet next week. I ended the call and finally signaled for my check. As I stood to leave, Avery's voice carried across the restaurant again, this time talking to someone new on her phone. I don't care what it takes, she was saying, steel back in her voice. Find out who's behind Phoenix. Someone must know something about this Maria Luna person. I froze mid-step. She was investigating. Of course she was. I taught her to always know her competition. No, I want everything, she continued. Bank records, business registrations, social media. There's no way someone comes out of nowhere with that kind of industry knowledge. Time to be more careful. I'd taught Avery too well. She'd keep digging until she found something. And when she did, I walked past her table on my way out, close enough to smell her familiar perfume, the one I'd given her for Christmas 2 years ago. She was too absorbed in her phone call to notice me, just another middle-aged woman in a city full of them. Outside, the evening air was crisp with autumn's approach. Fashion Week was coming, and with it, Phoenix's biggest moment yet. Bridget and Annalise's collection would be the talk of the industry. And Avery, I pulled out my phone and listened to her voicemail again. Everything's falling apart and I don't know how to. You know how, I whispered to the night air. You just don't want to admit it. My car arrived, and as I slid into the back seat, I sent a quick text to Nora. Keep an eye on her. She's starting to spiral. The response came quickly. She's not the only one. What's your end game here, Mila? I stared at the message for a long moment before typing, Justice. But as the car pulled away from the curb, passing Avery's familiar silhouette in the restaurant window, I wondered if justice and revenge were really the same thing after all. The stitching is wrong, I said, running my fingers along the sample dress. You can feel it, right here at the seam. Bridget frowned, leaning closer, but we followed the exact specifications. Specifications aren't everything. I picked up a needle and thread. Watch. The design studio had become my second home over the past few months. As I demonstrated the correct technique, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, focused, alive, teaching again, just like I used to with Avery. There, I said, holding up the corrected seam. Feel the difference? Annalise gasped. It's perfect. How do you know all these little tricks? Before I could answer, Nora burst into the studio, face flushed. We have a problem. Nora? I blurted out, forgetting myself for a moment. I mean, can we help you? Oh, drop the act, Mila, she said, then turned to Bridget and Annalise. Ladies, could you give us a minute? They looked at me uncertainly. I nodded, and they retreated to the break room. Are you crazy? Nora hissed once we were alone. Avery's hired private investigators. She's obsessed with finding out who's behind Phoenix. Let her look, I said, though my hands shook as I put down the needle. Everything's legal. Legal isn't the point. She's coming unhinged. The board is threatening to remove her if she doesn't turn things around by Fashion Week. That stopped me cold. Remove her? Isn't that what you wanted? Your revenge? I trailed off, realizing I wasn't sure anymore. I wanted her to understand what she did wrong. Well, congratulations. She's understanding it all the way to unemployment. That what you had in mind, Mama Bear? Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Bridget. Sorry to interrupt, but Justin from Hernandez Fashion is here. Says it's urgent. Send him in, I called out, ignoring Nora's warning look. Justin entered, looking exhausted. He stopped short when he saw Nora. I should have known you were involved. Justin, I said, keeping my voice steady. What brings you to the competition? Cut the crap, Mila. We both know it's you. He ran a hand through his hair. The techniques, the industry connections, the strategic timing, it all screams Mila Hernandez. Prove it. I'm not here to expose you. I'm here to make a deal. That caught me off guard. What kind of deal? Avery's drowning. The holiday collection is tanking. Our best clients are jumping ship, and she's spending more time investigating Phoenix than running the company. He stepped closer. Help her? Help her? I laughed. Like she helped me on my birthday? She made a mistake, a huge, terrible mistake, but she's still your daughter. My daughter died the moment she chose corporate politics over family. Justin pulled out his phone and played a video. It was Avery in her office, late at night, crying over old photos of us together. This is from last week. She watches your old design tutorials every night, trying to figure out where she went wrong. My chest tightened. Turn it off. The board meets next Friday, he continued. Without a miracle, they're voting her out. Is that really what you want? Nora touched my arm. Mila, I have to go, I said abruptly, grabbing my bag. Lock up when you leave. I hurried out, but not before hearing Bridget's voice from the break room. Was that really Mila Hernandez? The Mila Hernandez? Outside, the city was settling into evening. I walked aimlessly, remembering all the nights Avery and I had done the same, discussing designs, sharing dreams. Where had that mother-daughter team gone? My phone buzzed again, another voicemail from Avery. Mom, I found your old sketches today. Remember when you taught me about balance in design? How everything needs its opposite to work? I think I forgot that somewhere along the way. Please call me back. I sat on a nearby bench, suddenly exhausted. A young mother passed by, holding her daughter's hand as the little girl skipped along. They were both laughing. Damn it, I whispered, pulling out my phone again. I dialed Bridget's number. Maria, is everything okay? I need to tell you something, I said, about who I really am. We know, Annalise's voice came through. I was on speaker. We've known for weeks. What? How? Nobody knows those old Vietnamese stitching techniques except the people who learned from your early collections. Bridget said, we studied you in design school, remember? And you're still working with me, even knowing I lied? You gave us a chance when no one else would, Annalise said. We figured you had your reasons. I looked up at the darkening sky, feeling tears form. I need your help with something, something that might save both our companies. What do you need? How do you feel about a collaboration? I asked, an idea taking shape. Something big for Fashion Week. A collaboration with Hernandez Fashion? Bridget sounded excited. That would be incredible. Yes, I said, standing up with renewed purpose. It's time to remind everyone what fashion is really about. And what's that? Family, I said softly, in all its forms. The conference room at Phoenix felt too small for the tension it contained. Justin sat across from me, while Bridget and Annalise flanked my sides. We were waiting for Avery. She doesn't know you'll be here, Justin reminded me. Maybe I should warn her. The door burst open. Avery strode in, phone to her ear. I don't care what it costs. Just make sure those samples. She stopped dead when she saw me. The phone slipped from her hand. Hello, Avery, I said quietly. She looked different, thinner, darker circles under her eyes. Her usual pristine appearance showed cracks, a loose thread on her sleeve, a scuff on her designer heels. What is this? She demanded, turning to Justin. A setup? It's a business meeting, I said, gesturing to the chair across from me, about a potential collaboration between our companies. Our companies? She laughed sharply. So it was you behind Phoenix. I knew it. Sit down, Avery. Maybe it was the tone, the one I'd used when she was younger and testing boundaries. But she sat, though her posture remained rigid. The board meets on Friday, Justin said. This could save both companies. Both companies? Avery's voice rose. We don't need saving. We just need to stop this revenge project from stealing our clients. Bridget leaned forward. With all due respect, Ms. Hernandez, we didn't steal anything. We earned those clients. Stay out of this, Avery snapped. No, I cut in. They're part of this conversation. In fact, they're the future of this industry. If you'd stop being so stubborn and look properly. Oh, that's rich coming from you. How long did you plot this? Was it right after the party, or did you wait a few days before deciding to destroy everything I built? Everything you built? I stood up slowly. I built this company with my bare hands while you were still playing with Barbies. I taught you everything you know about fashion. You taught me outdated methods. I taught you that fashion is about people. My voice echoed off the walls. It's about making someone feel beautiful, powerful, seen, but you turned it into nothing but numbers and algorithms. The room fell silent. Outside, the city hummed with midday traffic. Show her, Bridget said softly. I nodded, and Annalise opened a garment bag. Inside was a dress, but not just any dress. It combined Avery's modern aesthetic with my traditional techniques, Phoenix's innovation with Hernandez Fashion's legacy. This is impossible, Avery whispered, touching the fabric. The digital printing with hand-stitched overlay. How did you? Because they listen, I said. Like you used to, before you decided tradition had no place in your vision. We have 10 more designs ready, Bridget added. A complete collaboration collection for Fashion Week. Traditional craftsmanship meets modern technology. The best of both worlds, Justin said meaningfully. Avery's hands trembled as she examined the dress. The board would never approve working with our biggest competitor. The board will approve anything that saves their investment, Justin countered. Our stock is down 23%. We need this. And what about you? Avery finally looked at me. What do you need? The question caught me off guard. In all our conflicts, she'd never asked that before. I need, I paused, choosing my words carefully. I need to know my life's work is in good hands, whether that's yours or someone else's. She flinched. You really think I'm that bad at this? No, I think you're that scared of failing. So scared that you pushed away the one person who would never let you fail. Tears welled in her eyes. Mom, I'm not asking to come back, I said quickly. But this collaboration, it could be a bridge for both our companies, and maybe for us. Avery wiped her eyes, leaving a smudge of mascara on her hand. She looked at the dress again, then at Bridget and Annalise, who had been quietly watching our exchange. How soon can you show me the other designs? They're in the studio, Annalise said. We can walk through them now. Avery stood up, smoothing her skirt. Fine, show me what you have, but I'm not promising anything. As everyone filed out, she lingered by the door. Mom? Yes? That night, your birthday. I've replayed it 1,000 times. I thought I was being strong, decisive, but I was just being cruel, wasn't I? I met her eyes, my eyes really, in a younger face. Yes, you were. She nodded slowly. I'm sorry. I know it's not enough, but I am. I know, I said. Now let's go see if we can save your company. Our company, she corrected softly, then walked out before I could respond. I stayed behind for a moment, letting out a shaky breath. Revenge had been easier than this tentative peace, this fragile hope. But maybe that's why it wasn't the right answer all along. The Phoenix studio buzzed with nervous energy as we prepared for the board presentation. Dress forms lined the walls, each displaying a piece from our collaboration collection. Avery paced between them, making notes on her tablet. The digital integration on the blue gown isn't working, she muttered. The app keeps crashing. Because you're trying to force technology where it doesn't belong, I said, approaching the dress in question. Look at the fabric. It's telling you where it wants to flow. Fabric doesn't talk, Mom. Doesn't it? I ran my hand along the silk. This piece wants to be draped, not digitally altered. Trust the material. Trust isn't really our strong suit anymore, is it? She meant it as a joke, but neither of us laughed. Bridget rushed in, face flushed. The board members are here early. They're in the lobby. What? Avery checked her watch. They're not supposed to be here for another hour. Probably trying to catch us unprepared, I said, remembering old boardroom tactics. Good thing we're not. But the presentation isn't ready, Avery protested. The slides? Forget the slides. I grabbed her shoulders. You know these designs. You helped create them. Talk from your heart, not your tablet. She shook her head. That's your style, not mine. It used to be yours too, before you started trying to be someone else. The elevator dinged down the hall. Footsteps approached. I can't do this, Avery whispered. Yes, you can. I straightened her jacket, a nervous habit from her childhood. You're my daughter, and whether you believe it or not, you have both tradition and innovation in your blood. The board members filed in, 6 men and women in expensive suits, their faces carefully neutral. I recognized most of them from my time at the company. Avery, the chairman said, then spotted me. And Mila. Well, this is unexpected. Thank you all for coming, Avery started, her voice shaking slightly. We're here to save your rehearsed speech, one of the women interrupted. We've seen the numbers. Unless you have something revolutionary to show us, I move we proceed with the vote of no confidence. I saw Avery's confidence waver. Then she looked at me, and something shifted in her expression. Actually, she said, moving to the first dress form, I'd like to tell you a story about a woman who built an empire from a second-hand sewing machine and her daughter who almost destroyed it by forgetting where she came from. The board members exchanged glances but remained silent. This collection, Avery continued, touching each piece as she walked, is what happens when we stop fighting our legacy and start building on it. Each piece combines Phoenix's innovative spirit with Hernandez Fashion's craftsmanship. She picked up a sleeve from the work table. See this embroidery? It's done by hand, using techniques my mother taught me when I was 12. But the pattern? Generated by AI to ensure perfect symmetry. I watched, pride swelling in my chest, as my daughter commanded the room's attention. This was the Avery I remembered. Passionate, articulate, real. The app integration isn't just for show, she continued. It's about connecting customers to the story behind each piece. They can see the artisans at work, understand the tradition, appreciate the innovation. We're not just selling clothes, we're selling heritage with a future. And Phoenix agreed to this collaboration? The chairman asked skeptically. Actually, I stepped forward. Phoenix was my creation, a reminder to my daughter that sometimes the old ways still work. You're behind, Phoenix? The woman who'd interrupted earlier leaned forward. The company that's been stealing our clients? The company that's been showing us what we lost, Avery corrected. Mom built it to prove a point. And she did, to all of us. She turned to face the board directly. I made a mistake thinking we had to choose between tradition and innovation. This collection proves we don't, and our preliminary buyer response proves the market agrees. Bridget handed out tablets showing the pre-order numbers. The board members' eyebrows rose collectively. These figures, the chairman said slowly, they're verified? Triple checked, Justin confirmed from the back of the room. The collaboration announcement alone boosted both companies' stock by 12%. The board members huddled together, whispered briefly, then turned back to us. We came here expecting to end a legacy, the chairman said. Instead, it seems we're witnessing its renewal. The vote is postponed, pending Fashion Week results. After they left, Avery collapsed into a chair. I can't believe that worked. I can, I said softly. That was the daughter I raised, the one who understands that real strength comes from knowing your roots, not cutting them off. She looked up at me, tears in her eyes. I really screwed up, didn't I? Yes, I agreed, sitting beside her. But you're fixing it. That counts for something. Does it count enough? I took her hand, the first time we'd touched since that birthday night. It's a start. Around us, the collection gleamed under the studio lights, each piece a bridge between what was and what could be, just like us. Fashion Week arrived in a whirlwind of chaos and anticipation. Backstage at the venue, models rushed between racks of clothing while makeup artists worked their magic. Our show was scheduled to close the week, a spot usually reserved for industry titans. The zipper's stuck, a model called out in panic, 20 minutes before showtime. I've got it, Avery and I said simultaneously, both reaching for the dress. Our hands collided. Sorry, she said. Force of habit. Together, I suggested, and we worked in sync to fix the zipper, just like we used to during our first fashion shows. 5 minutes to places. The stage manager's voice crackled over the intercom. Bridget rushed over, clutching her tablet. The live stream has 500,000 viewers already waiting. That's more than... A crash interrupted her. We turned to see one of the models on the ground, blood seeping from her knee. The white finale dress she wore now sported a bright red stain. No, 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 Avery muttered, rushing over. Are you okay? The model tried to stand but winced. I think I twisted my ankle. Get medical, I ordered, then turned to Avery. We need a new model for the finale, now. There's no time to call anyone in, she said, running her hands through her hair, her nervous tell since childhood. I looked at the dress, then at Avery. Put it on. What? You're the same size as Lisa. Put it on. Mom, I can't. You can't? I challenged. The CEO who fired her own mother can't walk down a runway? Her face flushed. That's not fair. Neither was my birthday party. Put on the dress, Avery. The backstage area fell silent, everyone watching our standoff. Finally, Avery grabbed the dress and disappeared behind a screen. 2 minutes, the stage manager called. I helped Lisa to the medical station, then returned to find Avery emerging in the dress. My breath caught. The white fabric, combining traditional handwork with modern elements, seemed made for her. I look ridiculous, she muttered, tugging at the hem. You look like my daughter, I said, adjusting the drape, the one who used to sneak into my closet and try on sample dresses. Tears welled in her eyes. Mom, if this goes wrong, it won't. I squeezed her shoulders. Because you're not walking alone. I grabbed the second finale dress, a black version of her white one, and quickly changed. When I emerged, Avery's eyes widened. Places! The stage manager was practically screaming now. The show began. From backstage, we watched each model showcase our collaboration. Traditional techniques merged with modern styling, each piece telling the story of two generations, two companies, two perspectives finding harmony. Next up, finale. The stage manager pointed at us. Avery grabbed my hand. I'm sorry, she whispered, for everything, not just the birthday party, but for forgetting who we were. Save it for after, I said, squeezing her hand. Right now, show them what happens when tradition and innovation walk together. The music changed, a remix of the song that played at my first fashion show 30 years ago. Avery recognized it. I saw it in her smile. We stepped onto the runway, mother and daughter, black and white, past and future. The cameras flashed like stars, but for once, neither of us was performing. We were just walking together, the way we should have been all along. At the end of the runway, Avery squeezed my hand 3 times, our old secret code for I love you. I squeezed back 4 times. I love you too. The applause was deafening. In the front row, I saw the board members standing, genuine smiles replacing their usual stern expressions. Bridget and Annalise were crying and hugging each other. Justin gave us a thumbs up. Backstage, after the final bow, Avery didn't let go of my hand. The board's going to want an answer, she said quietly. About what? About whether you're coming back to the company. She looked at me, not as an employee this time, as a partner. I studied her face, so much like mine, yet uniquely her own. And if I say yes, then we run it together, properly this time. No more choosing between old and new. We find the balance. And Phoenix? We merge the companies, she said. Keep the best of both. If Bridget and Annalise agree, of course. I looked around the backstage area at the young designers from Phoenix mingling with the veteran team from Hernandez Fashion, at the seamless blend of traditional craftsmanship and modern technology in our collection. Well, I said, I suppose karma works in mysterious ways. Avery laughed, a real laugh, like when she was little. Is that a yes? On one condition. Name it. Next year, I said, we celebrate my birthday together. No speeches, no surprises, just family. She hugged me then, tight enough to wrinkle both our dresses. Deal. Around us, the fashion world buzzed with excitement over the show's success. But in that moment, we were just mother and daughter again, finding our way back to each other, one stitch at a time. The morning sun streamed through the windows of our newly merged design studio as I pinned the last photo to the inspiration wall. Avery and me on the runway in our finale dresses. Beside it hung the framed headlines, Fashion's Greatest Comeback and Mother-Daughter Duo Revolutionizes Industry. You're here early, Avery said, walking in with 2 coffee cups. She handed me one, made exactly how I liked it. Couldn't sleep, I admitted. The new collection launches today. Nervous? Aren't you? She smiled, sipping her coffee. No, because this time we did it right. The elevator dinged and Bridget burst in, followed by Annalise and a stream of design team members. The buyers are already lining up outside. How many? Avery asked. All of them. Annalise grinned. Every major retailer we invited, plus 3 we didn't. I watched as Avery directed the team with natural authority, but not the cold corporate kind she'd tried to embrace before. She'd found her own style of leadership, warm but focused, innovative but grounded. Mom, she called out, can you check the finishing on the evening wear? Something feels off about the 3rd piece. I examined the dress in question, running my fingers along the seams. The problem isn't the finishing. It's trying too hard to be something it's not. I adjusted the drape slightly. There, now it's honest. Like us? She asked quietly. Before I could respond, Justin rushed in. The press is here early, and you both need to see this. He held up his tablet, showing a social media post from one of our former board members. A year ago, I voted to remove a legacy. Today, I'm proud to admit I was wrong. What Mila and Avery have created isn't just fashion. It's a blueprint for how tradition and innovation can coexist. Not bad for a revenge plot turned family reunion, Bridget teased. Speaking of family, Avery said, reaching into her bag. I have something for you, Mom. She handed me a small wrapped package. Inside was a framed photo. Me teaching her to sew when she was 7, both of us laughing at her crooked stitches. I found it while cleaning out my old office, she said. Remember what you told me that day? That perfection isn't about getting everything right, I recalled. It's about learning from what goes wrong. I finally understand what you meant. She touched the photo gently. Thank you for not giving up on me. even when I gave up on us. The studio door opened again as Nora walked in. Sorry to interrupt the moment, but we've got a situation. The buyers want to meet the whole team, Phoenix and Hernandez together. They're saying they won't place orders until they see how the merger really works. I looked at Avery, seeing my own determination reflected in her eyes. Should we show them? Let's show them everything, she said. We gathered the entire team, the young innovators from Phoenix, the seasoned artisans from Hernandez, the blend of experiences and perspectives that made our new company unique. Together, we walked into the showroom. The buyers fell silent as we entered, all eyes on mother and daughter, leading a unified team. Welcome, Avery began, then paused. She looked at me. Mom, would you like to do the honors? I stepped forward, feeling the weight of the moment. Fashion isn't about choosing between past and future. It's about learning from yesterday to create tomorrow. Every piece in this room represents that journey, our journey. A journey that almost ended, one buyer commented. How can we be sure this partnership will last? Avery joined me because we finally learned what matters most. Not the sales numbers or the social media metrics, but the legacy we build together. And what exactly is that legacy? Another buyer asked. I watched as Bridget demonstrated our innovative techniques to one group, while Annalise explained our traditional craftsmanship to another. Young designers collaborated seamlessly with veteran artisans, each learning from the other. This, I said, gesturing to the room, a family that extends beyond blood, a company that values both wisdom and fresh perspectives, a future built on understanding our past. The first order was placed within minutes. By lunch, we'd broken our previous sales records. Later, as the excitement died down, Avery found me in my old office, now our shared space. Happy birthday, Mom, she said softly. I looked at the clock. Midnight had just struck. This birthday felt different from the last one. No public humiliation, no corporate power plays. Just my daughter, a slice of cake she'd somehow hidden in her desk, and two forks. To karma, she said, holding up her fork like a toast. To second chances, I corrected. We sat together, sharing cake and stories, planning future collections and healing old wounds. Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars, witnessing a new chapter in our story, one where revenge gave way to reconciliation and competition transformed into collaboration. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's showing someone a better way forward, together.